Hello, 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 and welcome back to another edition of the Change My Mind podcast, part of the hashtag Dorkshared Gooniverse, along with Geeks Worldwide Radio and Midnight.fm. We are currently live, but in the future, this will be a past broadcast. The true focus of this podcast lies somewhere between rage and serenity, and we've traveled the globe to hunt down pig farmers and tailors. I am Wesley Sykes. Through the other side of the ether is the Dr. Boulevard Trask to my Sebastian Shaw, Mr. Nick Fryer. Nick, what is good in the hood?
You know, it works for today, but I still don't know how I feel about that comparison. There's a few reasons for that, but
why? I'm not sure what you're getting at.
I think that Boulevard Trask is a little more. Oh no, they're both pretty close-minded. I guess I'll just leave it at that. I don't like Boulevard Trask as much. I think he's a little bit more of a dink. I guess I'll put it that way. How's that sound?
Would you say that he's small-minded?
No, I wouldn't say that. Not necessarily.
Some might. I'm not saying that either. Some might.
Yeah. No, he. Well, I think both of them kind of are in the same capacity. They both suck. They're good villains. They're great villains, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more today. But you could have gone different routes with that. So,
I could, but I chose not to. Nick, what was on your Super Bowl Sunday menu?
Well, I was working for Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, you were working?
Yes. So I didn't have all the crazy fun stuff that everybody had.
Oh, well,
I did get some stuff brought to me, I will say, but I wasn't able to partake in festivities like the average person. So
well, I guess just tell me what you ate then.
I had Chinese food, Wes.
Oh, well, what type of Chinese? Jesus,
what
type of Chinese food?
Well, who cares if I had Chinese? If it's Chinese food, then nobody's really going to be interested. I had pork.
I'm interested. That's why I'm asking the question.
Are you interested? Or are you asking me so that way you can tell me what you had?
It works both ways, man. That's how conversation works.
Fine. I had pork fried rice. What did you have?
Just pork fried rice. Okay, that's delicious. We had a lovely menu on Sunday. We had some homemade chicken fingers, some stuffed shells with ground turkey, tostadas. You know, little tostadas where we fried up the corn, soft shell tortillas with a little guacamole spread, little shredded chicken that we put in the sous vide machine for about an hour or so, get it real nice and tender. It's good stuff.
What was the turkey again? I've never heard of somebody having turkey for like a Super Bowl type thing.
A ground turkey. It's like just in place of ground beef.
I've still never heard of that before.
You never had ground turkey before? No,
I think I've only.
Delicious. You can't really taste the difference. It's leaner.
It makes sense. It's probably healthier. Does it taste as good?
Yeah, you can't taste the difference. There's obviously more flavor in beef.
But you add spice to the beef when it's ground usually anyway. So I mean, you could do that with turkey, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly. You church it up.
Yeah. Okay.
A little bit of that.
Did you spend it at home?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were snowed in. That's why I got this fancy little Dutch girl North Face hat on.
It's very cute. It brings out your eyes very well.
Oh, that's so sweet of you to say, Nick. Of course, we're starting off 2021 right. Just being peppering each other with compliments here. That's our New Year's resolution. At least mine was. I don't know about yours. But Nick, for speaking of 2021. For the first time this year, court will be back in session as we step back into the debate podium. Mark that down, Nick, for another original versus sequel showdown. X-Men First Class versus X-Men Days of Future Past. Of course, because of the mega multiverse shaking news that we got in WandaVision episode 5. And I think that's a perfect segue, Nick, into our first topic.
Yeah.
Ending now.
Holy hell. I mean, it was so big that Mac and Goo had to do a bonus episode. And of course, Mac's not doing any bonus work whatsoever. So you had to step in and take over. And you, I feel like, have been more excited about, more invested, at least in this show, than I mean, we were all loving it in the DSG, but you seem so amped about it, much more than normal, I would say.
Yeah, I am very excited. It takes a lot to excite some emotion out of me in any way, shape, or form. But I will say this is doing a fantastic job of it. I wake up on Friday mornings. If you're listening to the podcast on Mac and Goo, which I believe is available currently on the Mac and Goo podcast stream. But at any point, I get excited waking up at like 6:30 like I normally do during the week. But on a Friday, that's the first thing I do in the morning before I start anything is watch that 30-minute. And I look forward to it. I jump up out of bed. So it's great. So I love where it's going. Obviously, the Quicksilver thing, the implications there are enormous. And I love obviously all the Full House vibes in there, but I think the big main questions that Goo and I touched on and that I still have going forward through the rest of the season is who is Dottie? We've only seen her once, and that was in a very authoritative role talking about children. So is that, Mephisto manifesting some way or the villain manifesting some way into that form? Who is the mailman? I tend to think that's the informant. The mailman brings the news. He's delivering the message. That kind of makes sense with what an informant would do. Who's the informant there? And what greater role is Director Hayward playing in all this? There's a very interesting point in line where Darcy is talking to Wu about Director Hayward and said he's a dick, or is about to say he's a dick, but Hayward jumps in and cuts off from answering someone else's question and says a terrorist, and it all kind of flows together saying that like he's a terrorist. So, I get big Alexander Pierce vibes from him. So I'm wondering what's going on with him. What was SOAR doing with Vision's body? How long do they have it for? Why did they change their name from, space weapons to sentient weapons or whatever the old moniker was to what it, now is. So those are the things I want to find out.
See, with Vision too, one thing that I wasn't sure. Like, you're confused about just about why Sword has him not? Because I thought it came up in your conversation with Goo that you didn't know if he was actually alive or if Wanda's strictly possessing him and keeping him alive.
Yeah, that also though too. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I think he absolutely is alive at this point. Otherwise, you would not have he is completely alive, and somehow Wanda has reanimated his body. I don't know how. Hopefully, we can get an answer.
What's completely alive then? I don't.
He's not Wanda is not using her mind to subconsciously control Vision the entire, or not subconsciously, but in addition to everything else she's got going on, this whole masquerade, she's not also controlling Vision and keeping him going the entire time.
I think if Vision leaves this hex, this quarantine, which is weird hearing that word, that word just definitely jumps out at you now, even if it wasn't in the same context that we're used to hearing it. I think when Vision leaves that quarantine, that bubble, I think he's the dead Vision that we briefly saw 2 episodes ago.
I mean, look, Wanda's power has not. Oh yeah, well, in terms of his physical appearance, he's gonna look like shit if he steps out of there. But I still think he's gonna be alive. I don't think. I know Wanda's powers haven't been capped at any point yet. But there's got to be a limit at some point. There's no way she can have this whole facade going the entire time. We see her slipping.
I tend to believe her at the end of the episode when her and Vision kind of calm down from their fight when she says, "I don't have complete control. I don't know what's going on here." I tend to believe her at that. I think she's just kind of making lemonade out of lemons sort of thing.
The big thing for me though, in all of it is obviously you touch on the Quicksilver stuff. And while the questions that you're asking are valid, honestly, Wes, when that ended, I had no more questions. The only question I had actually was, what does this mean for the mutants going forward? I was so little kid excited when I saw Quicksilver, and don't get me wrong, I get excited about a bunch of shit. Obviously, we do when it comes to all this, the Marvel stuff. But man, when I saw Pietro on screen and it wasn't Aaron Taylor Johnson, I was like, they actually fucking did it. Well, they're actually doing it, I should say. And it was such a surreal moment. I don't know how it's going to go, but I don't think that Feige is just going to tease us and then be like, "Oh yeah, that's it. This is the start."
No, I think there's more about it. And in my typical spoiler fashion, I saw some of the leak footage and stuff like that, but separate of that going into it, I said that in the group chat. I was like, don't search the cast. Of the WandaVision, because this is the second time WandaVision has done this now, because when you're trying to listen, when they're saying Wanda, who's doing this through the radio, and we're like, who is saying this? if you watch the end credits, or if you had on the closed captionings, it would say Jimmy Woo's voice, Wanda, who's doing this to you? It gave that away. And if you just look on the casting going into this past week's episode, last week, it said Evan Peters on the Google casting, like that's not like going to a website or anything like that. That was what, Google pops up in the top.
Okay, I remember you saying that now, and honest to God, every time that you bring up the show in the chat, I mute it right away because I don't want any slippage on spoilers.
I'm not spoiling anything.
No,
I wouldn't do that to you guys.
I know you don't do that, but I'm pretty sure when you sent that warning out, somebody didn't say Evan Peters, but somebody said a different character, and like after the fact, and it was like, what the fuck? And I want to say it was Doc that did it. If I don't want to say who the actor was, I'll tell you after the show, but I don't want to ruin it for anybody else.
I don't recall that. Yeah,
I thought it was somebody besides Evan Peters, but you found leaked footage of.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's all out there. Even stuff for this week's episode, it's out there too. You don't really have to look very hard for it.
It is. I just find it unfathomable. Like I know that's our very first episode that we ever did, and it just. Why would you want to know what's going to happen before you actually hear the story of it all? It's just
because you can take in so much more. You take in so much more if you have an idea of what's happening. I think you have just as much of an appreciation for it.
Okay, that's fair. I guess that's why we rewatch stuff, and that's why we do. I mean, we do that plenty, and we definitely go back and find other things. But I like that first excitement of not knowing. What's going to happen?
Yeah, tomatoes.
It's one of the ways that.
Speaking of which, Nick, WandaVision. We could talk about WandaVision all day. The fact of the matter,
we'll do that some point.
We do have some bigger fish to fry, and of course, I'm talking about the Super Bowl, the big game on the big day, Super Bowl LV. So we had the commercials, some halftime show thoughts, but before we get to that, let's get in its own point in time the Falcon and the Winter Soldier trailer.
Yes, so this was friggin' awesome. I mean, we've expected this the entire time. This is going to be the best MCU. Well, we also think Loki's going to be right there with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And we've all had our doubts about WandaVision, but I know I've personally been saying this entire time. WandaVision is going to have to be kick-ass and be very important because these are two characters that really in the grand scheme of things, I would say the majority of people, it's like they're tertiary characters in terms of interest level. Mm-hmm. But they have delivered, as we expect, most of us expected, they have delivered. Now we're getting two characters that are awesome in every trailer we get. I don't need another one. I'm not going to be upset if we get any more trailers, but man, they have been outstanding, and the action in this shit is going to be bananas. So I'm very excited about it. Your take on this, I'm blown away by, and I don't want to. I want to let you share it, but
I think it's pretty logical. So I like where WandaVision is 30 minutes, sitcom oriented, 9 episodes, right? It's not like 10. It's not a round number. It just stops at 9. It's kind of weird, right? It's 8 weeks, I guess, because you get the first 2 episodes dropped there. But with this, like, I would love it to be like 6-7 episodes, but like 45-50-minute action-packed mini action movies here. I think that would be awesome because again, 2 characters we're very excited for. It has a Mission Impossible James Bond type of feel to it. I'm very excited to see like what they do with U.S. Agent and how they bring him in there, and John Walker. I love the actor there. I blank on his name all the time, but he's really good, really funny. And Baron Zemo's in it, who, I've been on this train for the last month, 6 weeks or so. For my money, I think he's the second best villain in the MCU. If it wasn't for the best villain, he would have accomplished his goal. It took, Thanos coming to reunite the Avengers, and Thanos was really only able to win because the Avengers were divided in the first place because of Zemo. So I'm very excited to see where he picks up in his story. You get the mask illusion there with him kind of carrying that. So I'm very excited. And then the buddy cop aspect of it all, too.
Right. And we've actually seen him with the mask on too. I know I tweeted it out when I came across it. I think comicbook.com was ones that posted some stuff. I think Topps created some images with it. But and I talked about Falcon and the Winter Soldier on TLDR last week, the book that came out, and Zemo is in that story too. No U.S. agent, but I think it with that book, we really get the Winter Soldier that I want to see, and I'm sure you'd like to see too, because he's not as mopey as
right.
Bucky has been with Sebastian Stan. The actor I believe you're looking for is Wyatt Russell.
Yes, thank you.
Now, going back to the episode length, because that's what blew my mind the most. How many episodes did you say you would like it to be at 45 to an hour?
Like what if it's the same total runtime of WandaVision, like say whatever that is, but
Okay.
a little, maybe 10 or 15 minutes longer, and then you chop down an episode or two or something like that. Like almost like you would get with I know I saw that comment from Doc. I figured we would bring that up a little bit later on.
My apologies.
No, absolutely. But at any rate, I thought see now you just threw me off.
You're talking about the length and the amount of episodes. The length and the amount of episodes. So you're saying you want less episodes?
Down to like an episode or two. Like I think that's perfect. But I want that mini movie type of feel like you would get with like almost like Breaking Bad or something like that.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense because I was sitting here thinking that you wanted it at 45 minutes pop and 8 or 9 episodes. Because to me, that's just I'd be fine with it, but you definitely would not because that was one of your big complaints with the the Netflix shows.
Yeah, but again, what does it all mean, Nick? What am I watching? What am I spending an hour watching this for?
Something that's entertaining.
Some little rinky-dink junior circuit, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, no, I'm not here for that, man.
Daredevil was a good show.
I understand that, but what does it mean? So what does it mean, Nick?
I've said it to you before. It doesn't necessarily need to mean anything. It needs to be just interesting. And guess what? It could still end up meaning.
For me, it does. Yeah,
it could.
For you.
That's true. It could end up meaning something too, or I don't know. Well, we'll see what they do with the X-Men because maybe that's going to tell us what they're going to do with Charlie Cox's character if they bring him back and John Bernthal and all of them too. But we also got other stuff, of course, during the Super Bowl besides the game. And I know Mac and Goo was doing a whole episode on it. What were the commercials that you liked?
So I think my favorite one was there wasn't a whole lot. Like, I think everyone kind of predicted that this would be a very sentimental, heavy commercial Super Bowl kind of season, given the last year and everything. But that said, I think Shaggy, Mila Kunis, and Ashton Kutcher's Cheeto commercials. It wasn't me. Really enjoyed that one. That had some Charlie Kelly. Ask It's Always Sunny, cat in the wall type of moments there. So, if you know sort of thing. For our audience, I think the Bud Light Avengers commercial with the Avengers Endgame Legends commercial, I thought that was really interesting. The worst ones, probably Robin Hood. Like that's bad timing. Like we were all investors. Like, probably not a good look, Robin Hood.
Did you see? I didn't catch a lot of them. Before you keep going, did you see the 5-second spot from Reddit?
I saw it on some wrap up stuff afterwards. I must have missed that on the watch through though. Yeah,
it was just basically them taking. It was I was on YouTube TV, so I paused it when I saw the blip, and because it was just like a snap, and it was something like encouraging people that they can create change together, and the place you're going to do it is on Reddit. So, they're trying to capitalize on all their.
I hope they ran concurrently. Like that commercial came right after the Robin Hood commercial. I hope they did that.
I didn't see the Robin Hood commercial, so if that happened, I missed that part of it. But.
Is there anything worse than you go through a minute long commercial, 45-second commercial, and you're like, what is this selling? Like, what are you selling me? Like that's what I thought the entire time through the Bruce Springsteen Jeep commercial. It was just like Bruce driving, looking rugged and driving in a open top Jeep.
I don't understand I don't know what Bruce Springsteen's deal is. I thought that he was I thought he was like that, and then I thought he wasn't like that with America.
You pay him enough money, he'll dress up he'll dance however you want.
I just have what's his deal? It's just what I want to know. But
I'm not a big Bruce guy.
The best commercial by far was the DraftKings commercial, though. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Our own Billy D behind that, of course, aired that a couple of times, so got a couple of plays there. Some honorable mentions, real quick. Timothy Chalamet's Edward Scissorhands commercial. I thought that was pretty good. And one the Will Ferrell Norway GM commercial. I thought that was good. I enjoyed that. And the one I did not like, Wayne's World Cardi B. I don't like this matchup of odd celebrities from different eras and be like, this is so wacky that we paired them. How random is this? It just feels like.
Oh my God, it's so cool. Yeah. I'm with you on that one. Now, you put this down, and I honestly, Wes, the halftime show, I can't remember the last time I actually gave a shit about a halftime show in the Super Bowl.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I never entertained by them. Haven't been in years.
Oh, see, I think the production value has gone way up over the years. In fact, as we were, prepping our Super Bowl meals, we were going back and watching some past performances. The J-Lo Shakira one, of course, the Lady Gaga one.
Yeah, that one sucked.
Are you sure you want to say that, Nick?
Yeah, I don't like the Lady Gaga one.
Hey, you're going to get a lot of bad hate. You're going to drive down the views of this podcast.
I don't care. It's how I feel. I'm not. Since when does that matter?
You're burning a bridge. But overall, I'm saying for the weekend, like it wasn't bad, but it wasn't memorable. I thought the production value of it was pretty cool. I thought the dancing and stuff was all right. I thought at the end you could kind of hear his voice shaking, which is a good sign that he wasn't lip syncing, but also maybe the moment too big. Maybe, the Sunday Scaries for the weekend headline.
That's a good headline.
I don't know.
That's a good job. Look at you. It's almost like you do that for a living.
Oh, get out of town.
Yeah.
Not bad. I don't think anyone's going to be like that weekend performance. You look back and be like, that's something else.
No, I mean, people. Okay, I don't give a shit about them, but part of me wonders if I'm just being like anti, because with the commercials too, I'm kind of over those as well. Maybe it's just
the commercials you're not missing much with. I don't get. I like the halftime shows though, because like I'm like that with award shows. Like I don't care about that, but I still like the Grammys because I like the performances.
Okay, so it's not just me. Okay, I feel so. Because I wonder like how many bad ones people remember. Like everybody's gonna remember the Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake one, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I always loved the Aerosmith NSYNC one as a kid, but that's because I just thought it was such a cool mix. Other than that, I mean, I remember Shakira because she did the weird thing with her voice. Like that was kind of funny.
You got U2 with the Patriots in 2001 after 9/11. You had Prince in The Rain, which was great with the silhouette of his giant phallic guitar.
Yep.
That was really so. You get some memorable performances, but mostly they're hit or miss.
I don't know how many.
Beyonce shutting down the Mercedes-Benz Superdome with her halftime performance.
Yeah, I was just curious how many bad ones people remember. Like I don't.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, was Katy Perry's good or bad? Like I don't know.
I don't know.
Baby Shark there,
I totally forgot she even did it. But I think that people care more about the show that we did last week, the 2004 Build a Cinema.
Also memorably bad for some of us.
For some of us. So Billy ended up winning. And for those who don't remember, I would recommend going back and listening, even though we're going to list them off here. Billy drafted Anchorman.
Well, first, and this was our 2004 Build a Cinema movie draft to set that up for the folks at home. Anchorman,
Collateral, Dodgeball, Saw, Troy, and Shaun of the Dead was Billy D's roster. He wound up winning with 68% of the vote. I came in second with 30% of the vote. I took Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban, Spider-Man 2, Napoleon Dynamite, The Incredibles, and Van Helsing. And then, Wes, I'll let you deliver yours.
Well, I had Passion of the Christ, National Treasure, Mean Girls, Open Water, Along Came Polly, and The Butterfly Effect for a whopping 2% of the vote. We had, I believe, a vote total of 50 votes. And if I did the math correctly on that one vote was for myself.
That's pretty remarkable, Wes. I mean, did your wife not vote?
Well, no, she did not vote. And then when it was brought up in the chat, if she's like, "Oh, damn, your own wife didn't even vote for you," I was like, "Well, now I have to investigate this a little bit further." And I was like, "Are you aware of this poll?" And she's like, "No, I'm not." And I was like, "Okay, good." I was like, "Just don't vote for me then," because as I'd like to say, like, I either want to be first or last, and this is like the best way to possibly be. I think this might be the worst performance in the #DSG draft poll history.
Yeah, it was pretty shitty.
With that said, I still stand by it. National Treasure is a good movie. Mean Girls is an excellent movie. Along Came Polly is an excellent movie. Very underrated, I wowould say. Passion of the Christ fits the definition of the blockbuster to a T. Mm-hmm. And I think it shows, a lot of heathens. We're just surrounded by a lot of heathens.
I think more than anything that we've learned that people they'll do anything for a good yuck. That's all that they care about. And honestly, to all the Harry Potter fans out there, and I mean no disrespect to you with this, Wes, but to all the Harry Potter fans out there, you guys say how great these movies are and stuff. If I'll tell you what, I would bet that if I had one of the Lord of the Rings movies, that even number one, I bet I would have won this 1,000%. Now I know he has Anchorman and Dodgeball is great and Saw, but How the hell? Like, I have Spider-Man 2. I took that movie because of the Harry Potter fans. I was going for that vote. You and Billy D are both Harry Potter fans. Not interested in it. I just think it's a bad look for Harry Potter fans.
Well, Nick, I would say, perhaps the Harry Potter fans that you were expecting to vote for you are smarter than what you anticipated on, because they see right through you that you're not a true Harry Potter fan. Maybe you just took it trying to get their vote, and you just can't buy the votes of the Harry Potter heads.
We are legitimately building a cinema for people to attend, and that's it. So if I have a movie,
they're not literally doing anything.
Well, we are literally figuratively building cinemas that people. Just an asshole.
We don't have we're not investing in any brick and mortar stores. It's a pandemic, for Christ's sakes.
We are building a fake cinema that is strictly based on garnering people's attention and putting together shit that they want. That's all I'm trying to do. And I like Harry Potter. I like Lord of the Rings more, but that's it. It doesn't mean I don't like Harry Potter. No. So I'm just blown away. Like,
Nick, I think I think what we have to do, I think our anger is a little bit misguided. I don't think we should just give away the first pick to the guest.
I mean, look, Billy won for once. I mean, how often does that happen for him?
I just think in general, that's like not necessarily a good strategy.
Well, okay, fine. But counterpoint, if you had drafted...
Because this went exactly in the draft order.
Yeah, it did. It did. But Wes, I mean, Joe said it to me when in texting about all this. And I think he said it in the group chat. What would happen if Wes took this seriously?
I took this seriously. My one misstep is that I should have taken Collateral or Crash over the Butterfly Effect. Everything else... I stand by, and Open Water I should swap out for Dawn of the Dead remake. Those I was pressed for. I admit I probably dropped the ball. Wasn't my best performance, but I would say I took this seriously. Passion of the Christ is a me. It's on brand.
Yeah,
National Treasure is on brand. Mean Girls is a popular movie. Along Came Polly is a very popular movie. So I threw two missteps.
Mean Girls is a great movie. I'm surprised that National Treasure is a meme. It's not actually a good movie. That's why
I think it's a good movie. It qualified as the blockbuster if I wanted it to be.
Okay, well, that's okay. I think what we were planning on doing today originally with Van Helsing. I think we need to do that with National Treasure at some point, and it can be vice versa. I don't know what the popular opinion is if National Treasure is a good movie or not, but. I think if you had taken
$150 million, yeah.
If you had taken a couple picks from Billy's roster and mine, flip flop, changed a couple things around, it could have been a little more even, and Billy wouldn't have ran away with it. But I mean, good for Billy.
I could have taken Harry Potter, probably. I probably could have taken that with the third pick, but Spider-Man 2 and Anchorman were both off the board before I had a chance to, so that wasn't feasible for me. I wouldn't have taken Napoleon Dynamite or The Incredibles or Van Helsing.
Now, I know we want to keep this flow of the show going, but there's certain things that I can't ignore in the chat, and especially when somebody calls me out for not knowing good music because they're upset about Lady Gaga sucking at the
told you, man.
Like at the halftime show. Sorry, not sorry about it. Anyways, moving on to the comic book minute, unless you have anything else to add about
no, that's it. I'm ready to go. I think we should just move on as fast as we can from that Gaga comment.
Okay.
Help you out. I'm trying to do you a favor.
Well, the comic book minute is presented by RogueGrips.com. Use promo code FRIAR, FRIAR, to get 25% off your first order. Future State continues to roll on. Doc and I are doing the events at the end of the week on Friday. You can watch that on the DSG Facebook page, on the Change My Mind Twitter account, and on Doc's Twitch stream. Also, the next issue of American Vampire 1976 is coming out from DC. Dark Detective 3, which is one of the Future State books, has been one of the best ones. Doc's reviewing it. You guys can read that this week. For Marvel, Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood, I have read the first two issues. The third issue comes out this week. I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend, if you can't get the first two issues, which is probably very likely, when the trade comes out, pick this bad boy up. It's been really fun. And these are all like little standalone stories, just like different points in Wolverine's life. Different people are telling them. So I think they've done a good job. Eternals 2, also out this week. One last thing to hit on before we move into the main topic. Undiscovered Country 12 is out this week. Scott Snyder, I've talked about a lot, did a TLDR episode on it. I think that I think it's one of the best things going right now. So I highly recommend, if you guys haven't already, go get that first trade. The second one's going to be coming out soon too. Of course, TLDR is available on the Change My Mind audio channel as well as Geeks Worldwide. And last week talked Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This week, I think Doc and I are both doing indie books. I forget what he's talking about, but that is the comic book minute. Wes, are you ready for the main topic?
I sure am, Nick. So let's get right into it. As we mentioned in the top of the episode here, Court, of course, is back now in session. We can now step back to our proverbial debate podiums for another original versus sequel debate. X-Men versus First Class versus X-Men Days of Future Past. Make your turn to talk.
We have a series of categories to debate. Each master debater, if you will have 1 minute to state their case, while the other have 30 seconds to respond. We'll then put another poll out, perhaps reluctantly. I don't know why reluctantly. I mean,
I vote that in there because I'm a little gun shy. I'm gun shy.
I'm Ron Burgundy. To let people decide who the winner is. Wes, you are taking the original this week, which is
X-Men First Class, and that came out in 2011, a quite memorable year if you're a New York Giants fan, not if you're a New England Patriots fan. The synopsis is, in the 1960s, superpowered humans Charles Xavier and Eric Lenshier work together to find others like them, but Eric's vengeful pursuit of ambitious mutants who ruined his life causes a schism to divide them. This is directed by Matthew Vaughn and starring James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, January Jones, Rose Byrne, Zoe Kravitz, Nicholas Hoult, and Sir Kevin Bacon. And has a 7.10 on IMDb and an 86-87 split on Rotten Tomatoes, while hauling in $352 million and spent 1 week at number 1 and 3 weeks in the top 5 at the box office.
To which was followed up by X-Men Days of Future Past, which came out in 2014, the year that I graduated from college. In the synopsis, the X-Men send Wolverine to the past in a desperate effort to change history and prevent an event that results in doom for both humans and mutants. Directed by Bryan Singer, starring Sir Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen. I would like to note that I have 2 knights in my cast.
I got one Sir Kevin Bacon. Not
exactly. He also saved what was it? I forget. Is Footloose a town? I've actually never seen Footloose. Anyways, also starring Hugh Jackman, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence. Then we also got Halle Berry, Nicholas Hoult, Anna Paquin, Elliot Page, and Peter Dinklage, Evan Peters, and Sean Ashmore. This has a 7.9 out of 10 on IMDb and a 90-91 split on Rotten Tomatoes. It hauled in $746 million worldwide, spent 2 weeks at number 1 and 4 weeks in the top 5. Now, Wes, you have the first movie. I will give you the option. Would you like to open up? The floor is open to you if you want it, or you can defer.
I will defer. I'll try to do the Belichick scoop and score.
Okay. So now this wasn't included in the synopsis, but I'd like to make a quick note that Days of Future Past is set in 1973 and also 2029 for those who don't know. Now, Fox has screwed up a lot with the X-Men over the years, particularly with The Last Stand. I think most notably with The Last Stand, although Dark Phoenix gave it a run for money years later. And I mean, obviously they screwed up shit afterwards. But my movie, Days of Future Past, gave them a second shot, a second chance to get it right with the best Marvel property that there is, all while telling an awesome story in the process too. We see Magneto in his true form, someone who wants to bring an end to his enemies without any hesitation. In his moment where he talks to Trask, Nixon, all the politicians, like Secret Service people after their speech, where he brings RFK Stadium with him. Very powerful moment. The speech that he gives at that point was very where he's addressing all of humankind and everything, and mutant kind for that matter too. Also, Mystique, much more in line with the character from the comics and the original movies, which she was good in those as much as she played a more minor role. Best version of the character. We also get a good Wolverine in a good story, and that does not always happen.
Definitely over the 1 minute mark. I'm going to let you go on that one. Please cut. I'm going to cut you off though.
Okay.
I'm going to cut you off if you go after a minute. Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
And please, likewise.
So is this counting towards your minute?
No, I'm not. I'm just informing you so we know for the rules because you clearly didn't follow them right there.
I'm just asking questions. Sorry, I just want to make sure. Okay, go ahead. Clock starts now.
Okay. X-Men First Class walked so Days of Future Past could run. Yes, I said it. There's no denying how beloved and great Days of Future Past is. Okay, but without First Class, we never have it. It'd never be on the table. It'd almost be like a lot of the plot of what's going on in Days of Future Past anyway. We don't really even know what's going on, being tough to explain. Second, First Class gives a true origin story to the X-Men and the intricacies of Xavier's and Eric's relationship. These are two things that have never been fully explored on the big screen before. And I might add, we do get to explore all of those sexy 60s outfits, which is a major plus. Thirdly, we had the introduction of a mostly new cast of characters in Emma Frost, Banshee, Havoc, Angel Salvador, Riptide, Azazel. None of these characters we've seen before. Fourth, no more old heads. They breathe new life into the characters we've already seen and repurposed others to bring them more into the forefront, like Beast or Mystique. And lastly, the movie succeeded without the help of Hugh Jackman, something no other successful X movie can say.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Hugh Jackman is in your movie.
Well, he's not a starring role in it, though, by any means.
You said without him, and he's in the movie still.
Yeah,
so.
he has a uncameoed, uncredited appearance in it, Nick.
Well, that's the first issue. And second, am I allowed to counter argue?
30 seconds.
Okay, so there's that, and then it's Xavier, not Xavier. It's not the school, okay? And also, it gives them like the First Class, a true origin story. This isn't the First Class other than Beast. So I don't like that. This doesn't make any sense. You know the First Class, and it's not them. None of them are in it other than him and Xavier. So I totally disagree with that. And this is a far better story too. That's all I got. I want to stay another time. So,
Days of Future Past, again, fun movie, deals with a lot of things. If you can explain to me everything that's going on to it, I would buy you a cup of coffee, Nick, because I think a lot of people, much like Inception, would say, "Yeah, I know what's going on. I got it. The time travel thing, Avengers Endgame. I know what's going on. The time, yeah." But no, I don't.
I've never heard that before. But I've already rebutted, so we have to move on to the first category. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, so better use of Mystique. I don't think that there's any question on my end. Mystique is a villain. She's not a good guy, and I get it. We see her change in Apocalypse, but we're talking about just these two movies. She's out there for blood, and she goes after Magneto too. And as much as we've seen her side by side with Magneto in the movies, in the McKellen movies, we don't like that's not how she is in the comics necessarily either. We've seen her work for Apocalypse. She's out there for chaos herself, and she's just overall in general bad. So I like that much more. And she's kind of like that spy type character too, where we see her sneaking around, obviously using her powers to her advantage. So I just think we get like Mystique in her truest form, and that's perfection, to quote Fassbender.
I love that. 45 seconds, right underneath that here. You got a clock for me? You got.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm watching for you. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. Raven. Is she a villain? Is she a pure villain? I'm not really sure. I think in a lot of ways she is following in the footsteps of a young Magneto, where she is a bit of an anti-hero. And I think we see that impetus in the start here. I think she's more pure. I think she's a little bit more innocent. She's less tainted by people in her life letting her down. Though I think she is under the thumb of Xavier for far too long over the course of this movie. I think Raven Mystique is growing up before our very eyes in this movie, and she plays a little bit of a sexy, sultry type of role when she's trying to seduce Michael Fassbender's character, of course, Magneto, in bed. And I think that's kind of cool. So, you see her at a young age where she isn't going to be fully corrupt yet. To ask her to be fully corrupt at such a young age, I think is a little bit much. You have to earn that, and to that point, I think the events that carry out in First Class.
1 minute is up, sir. I am so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What was that? So my clock started. Shit. So look, I understand your point that that is fair, but in the end, I'm talking about which is a better Mystique, and the best Mystique is selfish, cares about no one but she obviously cares about no one but herself. We've seen it in the comics where she's the mother to Kurt Wagner, she's the mother to Rogue, to stepmother, and they both end up hating her too because she backstabs them, she backstabs everybody. We don't get that fully with Jennifer Lawrence's character. We don't even get that fully in the original X-Men movies, but this is much closer to that.
And stop.
That's all I care about.
Better use of Mystique. The first words that come out of your mouth is that she's selfish. Is anybody at their best when they're their most selfish, Nick? That's what I must ask you. That is a horrible way to think of something. Is this the best use of Mystique? Oh, she's a shittier, horrible person that is going to be less accepted by the power and warmth of God's grace. No, I want a younger, purer, more innocent, more angelic Mystique.
Okay. I didn't pay attention to the clock there, but I think you're done. So we'll move on to the better Magneto Xavier combination. Right? Sound good to you?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right. So starting now. All right. We get both of them in this. And for all the knocks that the X-Men movies have had, one of them is not Sir Patrick Stewart's portrayal of the character. I mean, I think everybody looks at it as like, yeah, he legitimately looks like Xavier. So you have that. You have McKellen, who obviously his character is beaten down by so many years of what's happened with the mutant human struggle. As much as, he would probably still argue he was right, it doesn't matter at this point. He has to side with Charles Xavier. And then, look, Fassbender's portrayal of the character, you talk about somebody when they're young, or a character when they're young and growing. Thank you. Them growing and developing into them, who we know them to be. Good God. I mean, that is, man, what we see out of Fassbender in this movie, so much anger and so much, we've heard it before where it's like kind of Martin Luther King Jr. versus Malcolm X. And we fully see that with Magneto in this movie. And it, like I said, it was very powerful, some of the stuff that he had to say. On top of his powers, not what we saw on display.
Very nice last-second addition in there. But to me, there is no question the best Magneto is in First Class. In fact, the real question should be between First Class's Michael Fassbender and Bill Milner, who played the young Eric Lahires, however you pronounce his last name. Young Eric there. Both are so vengeful. Both are so tactful. Fassbender is so precise with his actions, whether it's tearing out the metal filling of a French banker, committing a triple homicide in an Argentina dive bar, or single-handedly taking down a fully armed house of Russian military officials, or killing Sebastian Shaw with a quarter through his head. It's all very precise. It's all very tactical. As for Xavier, for starters, he has legs. So that's a big plus there. Much better. 2 legs are always better than 1, or none in this case. And you see how he spits game at the Oxford College bars. He chugs beaker beers. Like, young Xavier is a guy I want to be around. And finally, when discussing the two's relationship, this is a fantastic insight into how their complicated web of relationship is woven, and something that is never truly fully explored on the big screen prior to this.
Okay. So you can't look. We have another section where I kind of wanted to hit on this more, but as much as Magneto has his powers on display in your movie, the dude moves a fucking stadium. The honor, you can't tell. There's nothing that's going to beat that you're going to say with that. And also, your Charles Xavier is like what? He's a loser who goes and just picks up chicks at the bar all the time. That's all he does. That's not Mike Charles Xavier. That is not Mike Charles Xavier. Mike Charles Xavier is much more polished, and he's much more polished. And I know mine's a drunk. Yeah, I'm done.
Reset. Charles Xavier is a drunk and a drug addict in Days of Future Past. First of all, he is a crippled, and he's losing his hair at that. So Charles Xavier gets women. Has his legs and has hair in First Class, and is a top scientist and lecturer and professor at Oxford. And first of all, Michael Fassbender, or Magneto raises up all the nuclear arms between Russia and the United States and is putting them all on, turning them all on themselves. That is also pretty impressive.
Oh, you got that in real tight. That was good. All right. So moving on, we have best display of mutant powers. So I've already harped on the Magneto one quite a few times. Obviously a big one. We see other things too, where he sends, I don't know the river over in DC, but where he sends Wolverine flying, kind of cool. But really the big one is, and I was more looking at this from the lens of what, like the single best
Is it a
display.
reflecting pool? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't think it was a reflecting pool. It looked like it was, I thought it was, but either way, it was, I was looking at this more as a single display of powers from a character in this movie. And there's one that stands out in my movie more than any other. And that's them breaking Magneto out of the Pentagon. And that's when Quicksilver scene where he's running around the room, gets all the cops to punch each other and knocks them all out and everything, moves the bullets around. And to me, that in this like X-verse, that's only been outdone by his scene in Apocalypse. End. Done.
45 seconds. Didn't even need the 50. You want to just like crack a joke for 15 seconds or something, or
I no, crack a joke.
And time's up. Okay, great. Singularly, I got to go with a young Eric who's tearing up the Nazi concentration camp after being torn away from his family. Either that or again, a young Eric and the destruction he causes in Shaw's office after his mother's death. It shows the raw power that young Eric was capable of and just how powerful he could be once he was able to harness them correctly. I took this question in a couple of different ways. So I thought singularly, I thought those were, very defining moments for, very powerful moments for such a young mutant who is just, not even fully aware of their powers. But I also thought Shaw killing Darwin with Harvick's own energy beam by putting it into his mouth and then seeing Darwin slowly break down and like burn from within. That was a fantastic like display of mutant powers and just kind of like a singular big expose type of way.
And that's it.
Overall, young Eric does it.
I will say the Darwin one was very cool. But for me, so I wanted to focus more on the Evan Peters one, but with Magneto, I thought that where he gets that bullet into Raven's Achilles was really cool. But you go to the future, Eric, where he takes the X-Jet and flies it into all the Sentinels, and then you see Storm, probably the best Storm moment we've ever seen in these movies, and she takes all the electricity and lights that shit up. That was awesome. Blink was so cool on this too. And then also Bishop too. I love that character. So underutilized in all these movies. This is all we've ever seen of him. I need more of him where he absorbs the powers and puts it into his gun and lights him up. He's such a badass too. Done. So a lot.
And just a couple other things. I know we touched on Eric and the use of I'm just falling apart here. Professor X's powers. But Azazel I thought was a nice addition because you don't have Nightcrawler in there, but you get some form of him, even though he kind of sucked. You got Banshee, who was one of my favorites from the comic books and the toys and the animated series. I thought that was a nice addition in there. You have Havoc, who we all know is a much cooler Cyclops. And Emma Frost, getting her in there, I thought was nice, although she was done very dirty in this movie. She's much stronger than what she is in the movie.
And that brings us, it's a great segue into our next one. We have the best supporting X-Men characters. So obviously we've talked a lot about Magneto and Xavier, but for me, I have Blink, I have Bishop, I have Kitty, I have Colossus, Sunspot, Warpath, Iceman, Storm, and Quicksilver. Obviously, I can't really count Trask, and we're talking about X-Men characters more so, not people who appear in the X-Men comics. And I mean, everybody loves Storm. Quicksilver, this was a huge coming out party for him. And I don't know if we'd seen Eric Taylor Johnson at this point, but they're always measured against one another. Actually, I shouldn't say that. They were for a time, and now everybody's like, we don't give a shit about Eric Taylor Johnson's version anymore. You didn't see that coming, right? But Havoc, we don't see him as much as you do in your movie, but I don't care because Warpath is a badass character too. Another one who gets underutilized, but Blink's powers are so cool. And the way we see her actually get killed in that first scene, I thought was so well done, where the Sentinel comes reaching back after her. So and then Kitty too, where we've seen her kind of evolve.
3, 2,
Bishop's badass.
1.
Go.
I'm going to be honest with you. I did not see this question, so I was not prepared for it. However, I am slightly prepared for it because I did watch the movie and did other research for it. So, again, Azazel, Nightcrawler's father, very cool to see him in there and see him kind of go around and jump around and kind of see what he can do. Not as cool as the X2 Nightcrawler one, though, I'll say that. Again, Banshee's howl when he's able to go into the water, when he dives into the water on the mission and is able to give out his sonar and screw up the whole submarine of the Russian tank there. Very cool. Anytime Emma Frost goes in the diamond mode, or when she can hallucinate a Russian military guy into thinking that he's having sex with her, awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. No, that's. So, I mean, I don't really have. I mean, look, you have a decent group, but I remember watching that movie and I was like, okay, it's a good story. I'm glad that we have Magneto, and that's it. Like Xavier just never does much for it. Beast is fine, but he's not like crazy awesome ever. The future X-Men characters are the ones to me that are the ultimate badasses, and seeing like just being able to see Bishop do a little bit of stuff. It's like I just need more of it, and so this is the best display of Storm's power that we've ever seen. That one moment that I highlighted earlier, outstanding. Same for Quicksilver too. I mean, it's one of the best moments I think we've seen. One of the best scenes we've ever seen in a superhero movie.
And it.
Thank you. Your turn. You got any more?
It really comes down to an argument, Nick, of quality versus quantity. You can have all your heroes and all those guys from the previous X-Men and future X-Men and current X-Men in there. But, I want a small group of people that I can trust and count on, that I can really get to know. So I feel like they really have my back, because I don't know these people in Days of Future Past, all these buffoons. Where are they coming from? What time is it?
That is a bizarre spin zone, and it's a valiant effort. I'll give you that. All right, that brings us over to better villain. And I think Mystique is obviously a character who you can consider for that, but you've talked about how she's a little dynamic and everything. But again, I think she's closer to her villainous self that we all kind of knew as kids and in the comics still. Bolivar Trask and his Sentinels are the true villain in all of this. And, oh, God, he was pulling all the right strings. And these Sentinels, man, are friggin' terrifying. I mean, we saw as kids in X-Men The Animated Series, which we did an interview for a while back with the creators of the show. If you guys want to go back and listen to that, those Sentinels seem much more beatable as much as they're gigantic. These things evolve, snap. They have Mystique powers, but they don't just take on their appearance. They can adapt to combat someone else's powers. I mean, you saw how they take out Colossus in this thing. So those things are friggin' terrifying. And Trask, I mean, look, the pen is mightier than the sword, as much as I hate saying that. And those Sentinels don't exist without that dude. So I thought that they're a terrifying tandem, and that the X-Men clearly couldn't handle it.
And stop. All right. Nice. Getting right in there. Okay. So is there really a better villain than Kevin Bacon? I mean, Wild Things, Animal House, Sleepers, The River Wild. He's smug, arrogant, and plays the movie with a great 60s confidence, right? He's dressed well. He's got a nice crushed velvet tuxedo on. I really like that. You give him the ability to consume energy and fuck shit up with a simple tap of a finger or stomp of his foot. That's a recipe for a formidable foe, especially when he has on the Russian-made helmet that later becomes part of Magneto's signature look. That makes him very difficult to deal with. I am all for that. I think that's a near impossibility. And the fact that what's his name, that Magneto was able to kill him so easily, I thought that was a little bit not on par. I was a little disappointed by it.
So what's funny is we've talked before about how Magneto isn't necessarily a villain, but he's not, like, some define him as an anti-hero, but anti-villain is not the right word, but it's kind of along those lines. Even then, I'm starting to think more and more it's actually anti-hero is correct. How can you say that Shaw isn't the same thing? Because Magneto legitimately wants the same exact thing as Shaw. So he wants to help his race. That's all he cares about. Yeah, is he going after people? But from a mutant perspective, he's still kind of a hero, isn't he? So in some shape or form. So I think it's kind of a hard argument to say that yours is even a true villain.
I disagree with that hard, because I think it comes down to a level of morality that Eric's character has, that you see throughout the comic books, the TV shows, any iteration of the movies that you see him in. He has a level of morality in there that obviously Sebastian Shaw doesn't. And just to get back to the Sentinels point of Days of Future Past, right? Great historic, all-time memorable villain in the course of the X-Men canon. But why does it pretty much look exactly like the Destroyer from Thor? Come up with some, you have some sense of creativity there. You have great source material. Don't rip off Thor in the MCU. Do your own thing.
Oh, that is an interesting point that I feel like I've heard that one before. I don't know. Anyways, not a bad point. Anyways, but not something I'm really getting hung up on. Greater loyalty to the comics before we wrap it all up. Well, I mean, obviously I'm siding with mine, because I'm not going to talk about First Class until you talk about it, but there's some things that I've mentioned already that kind of jump out with me. we're dealing with Kitty. Kitty is the character in the comics who goes back in time. In this case, obviously, she doesn't. I think there are quite a few reasons for that. When we're talking about who plays the character for Wolverine and getting him involved, she still plays a huge role in the course of all this. And Mystique is
30 seconds.
Thank you. And Mystique is also the catalyst for this in the comics. Now, in the comics, it's a 2-issue story. It's a 2-issue arc. Then you have like another one that follows it up afterwards to another 2 issues. So they made one movie out of like 4 issues. To me, like, I know like it's 6-issue arcs normally and everything, but they made a lot out of a little, and still, utilize the right characters and all this too.
Oh, 4 seconds to spare.
Okay.
Nick, I don't care about any of this shit. So I don't care if that's loyalty to the comics or not. Just put a good story together. And is that what X-Men First Class did? Yes. Did they need to introduce new characters, much like the MCU is going to have to do? It's not going to be Cyclops and Storm and Professor X and Beast and Wolverine and everyone else, because they want to breathe new life into the genre. And I think X-Men First Class did such a good job of that it sparked off a sequel that made almost twice as much money as it did, that is even more beloved. How often can we say that about movies? So
you can't say that often. I think the biggest thing, though, that the movie did so well because of one character. Like your movie did so, and I mean, mine wasn't. Mine, you had Wolverine, so it's a little different. But Eric, like, it's all about Magneto. That's what your movie's all about. It was a huge coming out party for Fassbender.
It's a big. Yeah,
but the big thing is, like, when we talk about First Class, I want to see Cyclops. I want to see Beast. I want to see Iceman, Jean Grey. We didn't get any of them other than Beast, and it's like the one that I care about least. So you're going to tell me it's First Class, and nobody gives a shit about Banshee. I understand you might. Nobody cares about Banshee. Havoc, yeah, he's cool, but even then, he's like, he didn't really do that much in this. And Darwin dies right away. Angel, that's not even the real fucking Angel. That's another one of the First Class. So that was kind of like, I don't know if it's like a stick tap or like a middle finger to X-Men fans. But I was like, why is that Angel? So that was confusing too. So no, I get it. They couldn't do it, but they didn't. They were not loyal to the comics at all. Least loyal to the comics in yours.
Yeah, that's not a problem for me. I can live without it though. I'm okay with that.
Clearly. All right. Now, I've been leading the way the entire time. You've been able to make the counterpoint, so I think it's only fair that you lead the closing argument just for this one.
Okay.
All right.
3, 2, 1, go. Dark Phoenix, New Mutants, X-Men First Class. Nick, what do all these things have in common? They all do not feature Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. But unlike the first 2 X-Men movies, X-Men First Class succeeded with a fresh story, a fresh cast, and fresh characters, once again allowing the X-Men franchise to breathe life into the superhero genre. Now, take a look back to prior to 2011's First Class. Here are some superhero movies for you. We had Iron Man 2, Jonah Hex, X-Men Origins Wolverine, Punisher Warzone, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. And between 2008's Dark Knight Iron Man and X-Men's First Class, that was a pretty crappy run of movies. But after 2011, you have The Amazing Spider-Man, you have Man of Steel, you have Winter Soldier, you have Guardians of the Galaxy. In my humble opinion, this movie was a part of the defibrillator and a flatline time of the golden era of superhero movies. Thank you.
Wow, you think that's what this was? Oh my God. Okay, well, look, Wes, you and I are not. I mean, actually, I don't know where you stand on this anymore. Maybe after we're done with this, you can tell me. But the Avengers have become the most popular Marvel property, the most popular Marvel team, at least, right? And all this, but the X-Men were that from the 90s because of the comics, then because of the show. And Wolverine is one of the most beloved characters there is in all of comics. And they had screwed it up. And you go and take the Dark Phoenix story and you fuck it up. And then what happens? Yours is like, okay, it's nice, but what is, like, for you, what does it all mean? Like, that's what anybody who knows you looks at yours and it's like, well, really, what does it matter? Mine is the definition of what does it all mean, on top of you're getting a good story. And they go and take everything, and you say it's confusing. I just wonder when you watch it, what kind of mental state you're in. You are smart enough to follow this entirely. This time travel is far simpler than what we get in Avengers Endgame. On top of all the action and everything, they did something in cinema. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody fix something up. Thank you.
Nick, there's a strong argument for you, okay? But what does it all mean? You have to start somewhere, Nick. And when you're rebooting a franchise, you're starting from square one. That's the fact of the matter. You have to start somewhere. So again, when I say things like First Class walked so Days of Future Past could run, that's what I mean by it. Like, you got to start somewhere. So what does it all mean?
15.
It's starting there. And yes, like, this movie has flaws, and it's not as big and as bombastic and as blockbuster-esque as Days of Future Past, but there's a lot of good in it. Most of it is James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, most of it is that, and I have that, and then I also have Sir Ian McKellen on top of that, and Patrick Stewart, who are awesome in their roles. I have the action in mind is so much better too. Who doesn't love that dark futuristic feeling? And that's kind of where the X-Men operate too. And we get so many characters, and you can say, "Oh, I don't need a ton of characters. Who are these people?" You know who all those characters are. You're just foolish. You're just making this up for the sake of your argument. And also notice that Wes kind of just knocked his movie a little bit there. I have not done that once with my movie the entire time, because this is an all-time fucking movie. There's no shot that I lose this poll.
2, 1,
or vote.
That's it. I think we survived. I kind of like that, having a little bit of pressure on you there with the clock.
That was tough at first, but I think that it was exactly what we hoped it would be. So good call on that. Oh man, and timing wise too. I thought we were gonna run short or something like that, but damn, man. Whew.
No, it works out pretty well here. And for the record, like, I love this movie. You know how hard it is, Nick, to argue against Days of Future Past, which is what I legitimately find to be my favorite X-Men movie.
Oh, why would people can still hear this? They're gonna.
I know that we're still recording.
Yes, well, I would say in fairness that people need to. Yeah, that's fair. It is I definitely had the easier one in this one. I normally don't care about that, but I really wanted to argue on behalf of mine.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's how it goes, man. That's my New Year's resolution. I want to give it to you as much as I took it away in 2020.
Oh, you didn't take anything from me. Come on, stop that. But a reminder, when we put these polls out, it's not just about which we like to think that you guys don't just handle it as which movie you like more. It's about the debate.
Yes,
I strongly encourage, if you think Wes put up a better debate, which he didn't, vote for him, but you don't need to worry about that because I put up a better fight. Let's slide over into the quarantine corner. Wes, anything interesting going on with you outside of the show?
Yeah, very interesting, actually. Big news. Mac did something.
Okay.
That's it. No, I'm joking. He organized a fantastic evening of internet poker on Saturday evening. So DSG members, it was Rich Keefe of the #Dork podcast program, Doc of the very own TLDR podcast, and the I've heard of both ways Pineapple Boys podcast. Billy D was there, of course. Mac, I think Mort was there from the Mort Memorial Couch. I think that was him. So the first time meeting him and some of Mac's other friends there who were very cool as well. Popped in for a little bit. It was a great time. I believe Billy D was the big winner. And the pot got up to, I think it was $800 total. It was a $50 buy-in. People could buy in, reload if you got knocked out by a certain time.
Big week for Billy. Damn.
So he played really well. And then I believe Doc and Keith split the second place.
So let me ask
you, it was 6-3 or 6-2. 6-2. That's the math, right?
So Texas Hold'em?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and did you guys how did you do that? Was it online poker and you guys also did a Zoom call or something like that?
That's exactly. Yeah. So I think the website's pokernow.club. And then Max set up a Zoom stream to it. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And now Keith has the same sounder that Goo has. So that was pretty cool. So he was playing different sounders and stuff, different hands and stuff. So very interesting. So Billy, I'm not sure how good of a poker player he is. He took a decent amount of money from me over a couple courses of hand and actually knocked me out. But he's when you have that big of a chip lead, it's hard to read how if a player is actually good or if he's just kind of throwing the money around sort of thing, right?
Well,
so really good. I think Keith was really good. He was a very frugal player, but he's active. I thought Mac and a lot of his college buddies were very fast and loose players. Not afraid to throw the money around a little bit. Doc, I thought, he is the definition of the tortoise in this situation. The tortoise and the hare. He probably played 4 or 5 hands for like the 3 or 4 hours that we were playing this game, and just like was hanging on with like $40 left, while like Billy had 300, I had 150 at a certain point like that. No one likes to hear about poker. He's the classic guy who like never plays anything and is just like was there for the good time.
Wow, just taking shots.
I'm just like hung around. Yeah.
Well, he really likes your hat and he wants you to wear it all the time. I think
should, yeah.
You could do that. I mean, like a South Park kind of thing, right? No, they don't. None of them wear that kind of hat.
I don't think so. I don't think this one. No.
But it's in the same family, so it would work. I think I like it for you. I think it works. So for me, I'm not a poker guy. I played it in college a little bit, and oh man, I used to get freaking pissed about that shit. I
was very upset when I lost.
That's why I don't play. I'll never forget the last hand that I played a hand after, but the hand that I said I'm never playing again. I lost. Oh God, I was on the freaking river card. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget where I was. All right. Anyways, moving on. So for me, I was in Boston for the weekend, and in the actually, quick side note, we talked about the football game, but not about the actual football game. And I was happy to see Brady won. I do not need this Brady versus Mahomes thing going forward. Who's the true GOAT? I don't need that. It's over. It's done. I don't care if Mahomes beats him next year. Like, there's legitimately zero argument ever for that. I
mean, it would be stupid anyway. Like, even if like Mahomes had one, the Chiefs had one. Like, I still don't think it's there. He's like,
yeah, no, I agree. But West, but like looking
20%
at it
there or whatever.
Looking at it from like a talk show perspective, people could then like I'm talking Kellerman and all these a-holes. Like Kellerman would take Mahomes side and Stephen A would take Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
But Stephen A would have to entertain that if this happened. I still think it's bullshit, but he'd have to entertain it now. Now you can never entertain it. It's over. It's done with. There is legitimately no way you can have an argument on a show without people laughing at you. So it ruins all credibility. So I was very happy about that.
And how beautiful was it that, early on it's Brady to Gronk twice, Brady to Antonio Brown, and it's like all the former Patriots too. So I found a lot of joy out of that. Like former Pats there.
I've definitely had some frustrations with Belichick over the years where everybody's like, oh, Belichick this, Belichick that. I mean, I remember I wrote a column at EI before I was furloughed there about how like, oh, where's everybody's like who has faith in Belichick all the time. And so I had Belichick people get pissed at me, Belichick loyalists, and Brady loyalists get pissed at me. And it's what I want. But at the same time, I was really more mocking everybody who's always said, oh, Belichick's the best. You can't question Belichick. Well, what happened? Look at what happened. He fucked it up. I mean, there's no two ways about it. So.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think I just think it came to an end. I'm not sure if like anyone screwed up or one way or the other. Like, would I love Tom Brady to still be in there? Yes, but I also understand that you have to move on. At a certain point too, and like not be hamstrung by, well, is this the year that you're coming back? Is this the year that you're coming? Who knows the conversations that they have behind closed doors, but outwardly that's the conversation that's going on year in and year out. And they have, in a ton of cap space in a year where you might see the salary cap go down, so you could get players on the much cheaper and be able to have that trump card dollar value amount to get some high price free agents in, or at least some good ones. So we'll see. But no one wants to hear about sports talk.
Well, the last thing that I want to say is like I get annoyed with Brady off the field, but on the field, like I'll always defend that. Like that's there's no question about that. And I'm also glad to see him be the second quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl with two teams. The other one was Manning, so Manning doesn't even have that. But I also, little quick thing, I went to the Peru. This is when I was in Boston, and I ate at Terra at Italy, which I've never been to, never even heard of before.
Italy's a good time.
Italy I had heard of, not Terra, because there's an Italy in Chicago, and that's fun. But but this was a little different. This was a nice little spot. So for those who who are going out, so there were quite a few people still going out, wearing their masks and stuff. But it's a nice spot.
Nice. Oh, that sounds romantic, Nick. Dare I say?
Sometimes, I try and mix it up sometimes. Speaking of romantic, let's move on to what's going on this week in the DSG. And I'm actually going to start it off with the People for Communism podcast, because this week they are talking about, this is not on brand at all for them, but Valentine's Day date playlist face-off. So,
Nick, did you ever have like a mix CD that you would play that you put together?
I didn't do a mix CD, and I think that's just because you and I like that. That's we're 4 years apart, and I think that's the difference there. But I definitely have made playlists for these kinds of things, and then I'll play it like in my car or whatever, like not a stereo. I guess mainly in my car. Yeah, so I've done that.
I must have been like a freshman in high school. I forget what I was definitely still a virgin at the time, but I made a CD called Wes's Sex Mix 2K, whatever the year was. I forget what it was. Volume 1, Cherry Poppin'. And I'd burned that, and there was a whole bunch of, it was like Ludacris, What's Your Fantasy? It was Doing It by LL Cool J. It would Slow Down for a little bit with some John Mayer. Your Body is a Wonderland. Like, I think there was a little Kim song in there.
Okay.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of the?
Okay. Laffy Taffy, was that on there too?
I don't think that. I think again the time frame might be a little screwy there.
Yeah.
But at any rate, my mom. Of course, we had one major home PC desktop, so I'm burning these CDs for my friends, and I leave one in the major Modium tower. My mom pops it, open the disc to put in whatever she's looking to do, and she finds that Cherry Poppin' written down on the bottom, and she's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, I don't even necessarily know what it means. I thought it was funny.
Okay, well, that's you just plead ignorance, and you're fine. If you're looking for
not really, it's like
you could act it out. You can bullshit. You just did it the whole way.
Pissed out of their ass. Like I didn't really know. Like
you've been doing it the entire. Oh yeah, see, you're fine. You know how to bullshit. We everybody listen to your debate here. If you're looking for an album, I'm thinking more like romantic, not necessarily Cherry Poppin'. I guess we'll go with that.
Oh, I figure it's going to be along those lines. If I know Billy D.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm saying like
the D stands for disgusting.
Right. I thought it was dating app extraordinaire, but I guess that's too long. Ignite the Night, the album by Chase Rice. That is a great. Like we're talking romantic, not just like trying to get the bed rocking or whatever music. Like that. Well, that will get the bed rocking more than likely. But I love that, and there's some good Florida.
Do you leave your cowboy boots on when you're in the mix?
Look, I don't. What happens in the bedroom? I don't like to show those kinds of things.
Wait, hold on. Let me put the boots on real quick.
Well, that would imply
cowboy hat, nothing else.
That would imply that I took them off. So
bare back, balls, and butt.
Hashtag Dorcas is doing a WandaVision mid-season check-in. Mac and Goo did a big-ass news dump, so I guess you're talking all the Super Bowl crap. I don't know how they're going to do a full episode on that, but they'll find a way. TLDR
over there.
Doc is talking Hotel, which is a horror book from AWA. I've been very excited for him to talk about this for a while. Perfect timing for Valentine's Day. I'm talking about the book The Eighth, which we interviewed Adam Lawson, the writer for that book, a while back on this show. Actually, this is before the DSG was even before that came together. And then we also talked to him for his book, The Kill Journal. So I'll tell you guys more about that. That came to an end last week. Really enjoyed it. And then I've heard it both ways. Episode 11 of Psych this week. And then the streamers, Doc, Davey, and Shime, all on Twitch. So give them a follow. Anything else, Wes? TBD next week?
Yeah, TBD next week. I thought I had maybe we do the Van Helsing thing. Who knows? You keep kicking that down the can.
I do. Well, I've also brought up the Wolverine one too. But we'll probably make that call later in the week because this popped up and it made too much sense. We'll see what happens with WandaVision. How's that?
I like that. We'll just wait to the last minute then. I like that. Same bad time though. Same bad place as always.